Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening everyone, thanks for joining us. First tonight, Tasmania's Commission of Inquiry has heard disturbing allegations of abuse in the Launceston General Hospital dating back to the 1980s. Victim survivors, their families and former staff have disclosed evidence in the first day of hearings into the health system, revealing a culture of cover-ups among senior staff. A warning, this story may distress some viewers.
Ben Felton was 13 years old when a male nurse abused him in Ward 4K.
And I had my soul torn out, along with other victims, by somebody who was trying to justify their own gratification, and they used a child to do it.
The father of 3 has spent years fighting to bring his perpetrator to justice. Now he's telling his story to those who will listen.
If this saves one kid from getting hurt, then it's worth everything. It's worth all of it.
In May 2001, Zoe Duncan was raped by another staff member at the LGH. Her parents took the matter to management, but their allegations fell on deaf ears.
He simply said Zoe wasn't upset enough for sexual assault of any nature to have occurred.
The Commission of Inquiry told the family's disclosure could have been handled differently.
There should have been a mandatory notice immediately to Child and Family Services.
And a culture of fear prevented staff from speaking up.
It was very much a don't speak up, shut up, do your job, say yes, and hopefully get through another day.
This week, the Commission of Inquiry will continue to hear evidence from victim survivors, their families and supporters about the adequacy and appropriateness of responses to allegations of abuse in the health system, including disclosures made about paedophile nurse James Jeffrey Griffin. But for some, telling their stories is too much to bear.
We acknowledge that some people have chosen not to speak to the Commission, and we respect their decision and acknowledge that parts of the story may remain untold.
More tales of injustice and bravery will be heard when the inquiry continues tomorrow. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
And if you or anyone you know needs help or this story has caused distress, contact the Sexual Assault Support Service on 1800 697 877. Tasmania Police has stood down an officer following an alleged assault. For more, we're joined by reporter McKenna Bailey. McKenna, what do we know about the incident and why the officer has been stood down?
Kim, police claim a 23-year-old male constable from the Western District committed the offence at Penguin on January 29 this year while he was on duty. He's been charged with common assault and has been placed on non-operational duties. He'll appear in the Devonport Magistrates Court on August 8. Police say now the matter is before the court. They are unable to make any further comment.
Okay, thank you, McKenna. Experts say the impact of COVID has created the perfect storm for Tasmanians living with eating disorders. Waiting lists for treatment are ballooning across the state, with fears thousands of vulnerable people are slipping through the cracks.
A battle with atypical anorexia in her early 20s saw Katie Parrott's life take a drastic turn.
And I would have a single light meal at the end of the day and I'd be like, I am crushing it. And with hindsight, that was my absolute lowest.
Those dark moments were clouded even further by her illness being dismissed.
But unfortunately, because I was in an unconventional body, I went from being larger than average to more like an average size. I was never offered any support or treatment.
As part of her recovery, the Hobartians turned to social media to promote and celebrate body acceptance.
Eating disorders occur in people of all genders, at all ages and in all body types.
Widespread escalation of eating disorders during the pandemic has led to 8-month-long waiting lists across the state.
I think that if you were someone whose loved one was on one of these waiting lists potentially deteriorating, you would definitely say that there was a crisis.
Dr Meg Scanlon is one of Tasmania's only dedicated psychologists working in the space.
Tasmania's public health system is really under-equipped to deal with the number and severity of eating disorders that are presenting in the community at the moment.
Other organisations are also seeing a significant jump in referrals.
The recovery support services in Tasmania have seen triple the amount of participants engaging with our services since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Receiving treatment early can be the difference between life or death for some, with eating disorders claiming more lives in Australia each year than the national road toll.
I think if you're desperately in need for help, tomorrow isn't soon enough.
The government has committed $10 million to establish a treatment centre, which is on track for completion by 2024.
They are really challenging area to treat. And so I think a lot more can be done in terms of specialised services.
The main concern, I think, is how speedily it's going to be implemented, and also that the clinicians they employ are experienced.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
For support, you can contact the Butterfly Foundation's National Helpline on 1800 334 673 or Lifeline on 13 11 14. The ride to a Tasmanian holiday favourite is now a little smoother thanks to an upgraded section of the Great Eastern Drive. Local businesses hope further works to the vital link can help fuel a tourism boom.
It's a long way from Parliament House to St Helens, but the state government made the trip for the first regional cabinet since the pandemic began.
Our parliamentary members are walking to the streets, talking to local people, no doubt listening to their concerns.
Also admiring a recently completed $8 million revamp to a nearby section of the troublesome Tasman highway.
We've had a road that, as I said, realistically was built for horse and cart. There was no overtaking facilities on that road.
The oft-travelled Tasman is a vital link to the coast, as evidenced by the disruption caused during last year's prolonged Paradise Gorge closure. Sections between Bicheno and Orford have been eyed for upgrades in the near future, while the last federal budget pledged $100 million to the Great Eastern Drive.
We need to give our visitors and our local community safe highway access, and one that's efficient for all modes of transport.
Businesses here say they'd like to see anything that helps bring tourists to the region, with poor roads often a barrier.
Not only does it make it easier for them to get here, but it makes it a lot safer.
During the pandemic, Tasmanians shelled out the cash that kept tourism operators afloat. They want to keep them coming back for seconds, but say more investment's needed, with many gravel roads in the area.
There are lots of bends in our roads, and managing a big motorhome can be really difficult for them.
Bringing the regions a little closer to home. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Meanwhile, the Tasman Bridge is set to undergo its first upgrade since a 1975 bridge collapse, which claimed 12 lives. Concept designs have been released as part of the $130 million project. Major improvements include a 3.5 metre wide pathway, heightened safety barriers and feature lighting. Public consultation is open until Tuesday, July 19. A Kingston man is relishing in a chance to live out the Australian dream after winning $200,000 in today's Lucky Lottery's mega jackpot. The blue-collar worker received the exciting phone call this morning. When asked how he planned to enjoy the winnings, he said he couldn't look past putting down a deposit on his first home. A junior soccer association in Tasmania's south has been left devastated after hoons tore through their grounds at Gilston Bay overnight. The association has slammed the deliberate actions, calling for anyone who witnessed the incident or nearby residents with CCTV to come forward. A number of sporting organisations were forced to cancel matches as a result, while they work closely with council to fix the damage. A familiar face is joining the Lifeline Tasmania team. Luca Brassi's lead singer Tyler Richardson has become the charity's first ambassador, hoping to use his personal experiences to remove barriers for those needing help.
He's the voice of the Jack Jumpers' mighty anthem. Now, Tyler Richardson's also a voice for those tackling their darkest moments, becoming Lifeline Tasmania's very first ambassador.
Through the platform I have from playing in my band, I've always felt like I had a duty to do something.
Ambassadors are people that members of the community recognise, respect and trust, and they help us reach groups in our community like young people who may find it difficult to reach out.
Providing early and crisis intervention, as well as support for the bereaved. Lifeline is a charity Tyler holds close to his heart.
I've unfortunately lost some close friends to suicide as well, so it's really touched a lot of what I do in my everyday life.
Turning pain into passion, he's using those personal experiences to reduce the stigma surrounding mental illness.
He has a teaching background, so he understands the pressure on youth, particularly around mental health.
Just one call away, volunteers at Lifeline are picking up the phone every 30 seconds, speaking with around 1 million Australians each year.
A lot of people get to go to work, go home at the end of the day and clock off, but the people who are in this every day on the coalface really take this stuff home. They do such a beautiful job of taking this burden on board and achieving positive results.
Together, they're hoping to create a Tasmania free from suicide. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Pet scams are doing the rounds again, a tactic made popular throughout the pandemic. The RSPCA is warning prospective pet owners to be vigilant after a Launceston woman was fleeced out of hundreds of dollars.
She was promised a Maine Coon named Lana, but Cherie Devlin was scammed $600, targeted by thieves.
I was a sobbing mess because of the cat that I'd lost, that I'd fallen in love with, that didn't exist.
Caught up in a Facebook scam, Maine Coon cats for adoption near you. Appearing to be a Hobart-based business, actually run by scammers in New South Wales.
Don't be taken for a sucker, and I've always said I would never put money into a stranger's bank account, and I did.
Unemployed and preyed upon, Cherie was promised a good deal.
It wasn't so much the money, even though it's a lot of money in my world. It was robbing me of this dream that I've had for 17 years, and it was just taken away just like that.
The rise of pet scams prompting the RSPCA to give this warning.
You need to always be careful if you're looking on the internet for a pet. The first sign is never buy unless you can go and meet the animal.
Prospective pet owners urged to adopt, not shop.
Your shelters would be the very first point of call. If you're interested in opening your home to any kind of animal, cat or dog, then shelters would be definitely the right place to go.
Over 50 felines are looking for their forever home, so the advice is to shop at a shelter to avoid being scammed. As for Cherie, she's hopeful of one day making her dream come true.
I've written off the $600 and I've started saving. I don't care if it takes me 10 years, I will get that cat.
McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Launceston's Carols by Candlelight has been secured for the next 2 years with the support of Country Club Tasmania. But organisers are calling for more donations to help with costs associated with staging the event. They say more financial support is needed to enable the concert to remain free to attend. The event was saved last year after past organisers announced they were unable to continue running the traditional pre-Christmas celebration.
Tasmania's losing streak has continued into day 2 of the Indoor Cricket Championships. New South Wales went in to bat first this morning, securing 75, outrunning our side's 29. The Tigers are now looking for redemption, locked in another battle tonight against the ACT. Reigning rally champ Harry Bates and Coral Taylor have clean swept Rally Launceston, winning all 6 stages yesterday after dominating on day 1 as well. The pair began the day with a lead of 3 minutes, ending more than 5 minutes ahead of Richie Dalton and Dale Moscat. It was a particularly special victory for Taylor, whose last Australian Rally Championship win was in Tasmania 13 years ago. Devonport's Ruby Gray has shone for the Australian Sapphires in their win over Japan. At the Under-16 Women's Asian Basketball Championships in Jordan, Gray fired a string of layups, contributing 13 points to the team's 73-65 victory. Earlier, the Aussie women defeated New Zealand 77-57 in their Group A clash. They're currently taking on India. A short time ago, the Sapphires were 2 points ahead.
Good evening. Sunny skies for most of the state today, apart from some showers in the west and far south. Hobart, Launceston and Devonport all 11 degrees, Burnie 12. King Island and Cape Grim recording the high today of 13, 12 on Flinders Island, also at Low Head, St Helens and Bushy Park. Strawn and the Friendly Beaches both 11, Grove and Maria Island 10 and a high of 4 for Lyawini. On the satellite picture, we can see cumulus cloud over western Tasmania and some high-level clouds streaming across parts of the state from the west. A frontal cloud band extends over southern WA and swirls into a low over the south, with another frontal band adjoining and extending south of Tasmania. Tomorrow the high moves over southeastern Australia while another high lies southwest of WA. A cold front over the Bight extends to a low which links to another front extending south of Tasmania. Northwesterly winds 15 to 25 knots, reaching 25 to 35 knots about the west and south. Seas 1.5 to 2.5 metres, reaching up to 3.5 metres in the southwest. There is a gale warning current for the southwest coast and a strong wind warning for the southeast and central west coast. A cloudy day ahead tomorrow in Hobart, 15 degrees, 14 and cloudy at Adventure Bay, and 10 with a shower or two developing for Tarraleah. A shower or two developing in Launceston, 14, Devonport much the same, 13 in Bridport with a shower or two. Showers across the west, 13 in Burnie, Strawn and Marrawar, 14. Cloudy in the east with St Helens, Swansea and Whitemark all 14 degrees. Looking ahead now to Wednesday, light showers about the north and west, extending to southern and central areas in the evening, fine elsewhere. Thursday, showers about the west and far south, fine elsewhere, and showers about the west and far south on Friday, fine elsewhere with areas of morning frost. A partly cloudy day ahead tomorrow in Darwin, 29, sunny in Adelaide, 16, 14 in Melbourne, mostly sunny, and Sydney, a shower or two, 17 degrees. And currently in Hobart, it's mostly cloudy, 7. Launceston, partly cloudy, 4. And Devonport, mostly cloudy, 7. Kim?
Thank you, Carmen. That is all your news for now. We'll have updates later this evening. Thanks for joining us. Good night.